Making videos online is like dating. So if you have a YouTube channel and you're trying to make videos, you have to think of it like a relationship. And in this video, I'm going to share with you some concepts about building that relationship and looking at it from a dating perspective. So let's take a look. Hey, I'm Sasha, and I want to welcome you to this channel on Backstage Income, where I share with you how to build and grow a profitable business. In today's episode, we're going to take a look at relationships. So as you look at relationships are very similar to dating as they are to building a business online. And that is because you're building a relationship with your customers in order for them to purchase your future products and services. And if you're just starting with a YouTube channel, you're building a relationship with your audience and your viewers in order to get them to purchase a future product or service. You're always taking that relationship further. If we look at a dating relationship, just like a normal relationships, there's a process that people go through until they get to the next step, to the next step, to the next step. So initially you might be kind of alone and you're unknown and unheard of. Eventually you might go, let's say, on the web. So that's kind of the next process. You might find somebody and now you start building kind of a connection. Okay, well, here's somebody else that you're starting to build a connection. This eventually may lead to an actual meetup where you go ahead and you start connecting where, okay, maybe, you're connecting either by email or it could be you're connecting by a physical presence where now you go ahead, you go, have fun, you play board games, you go ahead and you do activities, you might go even have a pizza or a hamburger and you start and you continue that process. This eventually leads to, more things and further down the line until you either continue the relationship into the future forever and ever, or until that relationship actually stops and you start the process back over with someone else. So that's a typical relationship when you're looking at a dating relationship, right? So you don't know anybody, you meet people either through online or get-togethers, you go ahead, connect with that person, start writing some emails, maybe, going out, playing board games, whatever the case is, going to have some dinners, and eventually it leads to maybe an engagement, and then maybe a marriage, maybe kids and retirement, and depending on the length of that relationship. And that's a long-standing relationship. When you look at the marketing side of relationship and you look at, let's say, viewerships, customers, they also have a relationship process that you go through. In a dating relationship, you don't just start out from, meeting someone and then asking for kind of a wedding ring, okay? You don't do that, right? You don't hop to the next 10 steps ahead. You have to go through this process and procedure. Otherwise, some people are going to think you're weird. It just doesn't make sense. So in our marketing relationship, it's no different. Initially, you kind of start with, hey, let me catch some people's attention. Sometimes they might not even click on your video. So you have to go ahead and create nice thumbnails. It might be nice titles to where they go ahead and see your face more and more often and frequently. And once that kind of builds up, well, there's trust, there's interest, and they become familiar. This is kind of just like seeing similar types of people that you're interested in because you've dated other similar people that, hey, you might have found interesting, pleasant, or fun. So here, after, they see your picture, they see your titles, they see your kind of awareness of your videos, well, eventually you might get kind of a view. So you get some eyeballs on your video. And those eyeballs eventually catch interest, curiosity. You get this light bulb effect that happens. And then from then on, you continue to build that relationship. Okay, so it continues. And they go ahead and build a further relationship. So it kind of deepens and deepens as you continue to stack more value, which eventually could lead to a sale or purchase because you've given enough value to them to where they say, hey, well, I trust this person I think it makes sense. Just like in a dating relationship, well, I trust this person, I'll go out for some pizza. And sometimes you're selling just something as big or large of a pizza. Hey, can you go out on a date with me? And now that is a small sell. Or maybe, hey, can you write back to me? That's an even smaller sale, right? But eventually your sales continue to get larger and larger. So to that point where, hey, sometimes you're selling something big. Just like over here, you're selling something huge. Hey, will you marry me? And that's the process you have to kind of take in building a relationship. So you can't ask for a high sale purchase or for someone to take a high purchase dollar amount until they've kind of built a relationship with you, until they've had some experience with you. And for this reason, that's why it might be good to sell a smaller product, like let's say books at the beginning, or smaller like webinar courses, something of a smaller nature that leads up to the bigger sales. So that's what I want you to think of and get out of this video, is that you have to think about the relationships and the sequence of that relationship that your viewers, visitors, and YouTubers are going through. Because if you don't think of it this way and trying to just, hey, watch a video, buy a product, watch a video, buy a product, it doesn't work that way. Instead, you have to think of that process to getting small micro purchases, just like iTunes did with, smaller songs, 99-cent purchases to, now you don't even have that full album almost. And you get smaller purchases until you get to the bigger purchases, just like in the regular world. All right, so I hope you found this video helpful and insightful. Start thinking about your relationship and how you're building that relationship with your customers. Of course, in between, to build these relationships, right, there's many different mediums, and that's why you have things like email lists, you have things like Facebook, there's Instagram, and all these platforms, and the whole point is to connect. And you're connecting in different ways. Sometimes you're playing board games, sometimes you're going to a park, and in the online space, it's not much different. Sometimes they're looking at videos from you, sometimes they're looking at pictures, sometimes they're reading stories. They're building a relationship with you. All right, thank you so much for joining me in this week's episode and video. Hope you found it helpful. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button here or join me on my newsletter list by clicking one of the links over here. And that way you get some insights on some freebies and goodies that I go ahead and create from time to time, along with some discounts on courses, products, and books that are set to release. All right, thanks again, and I will see you next time.